Number five, experience with the world and random questions.
I love the way you put it. Okay.
What does the word privilege mean to you?
Privilege means that you can do whatever you want, go wherever you want, get whatever you want without ever really having to worry about the cost of it. Um, I think we're very privileged here in Canada because we have a lot of safety. You know, we live in a safe country. We that's privilege too, right? So you have to think about the word privilege also.
Yeah.
We live in a free country. We we don't have to worry about war. We don't have to worry about dirty water. Like everything is given to us, so that's privilege. But at the same time, being able to go out and get whatever I want without not having to think about like I really need to save for 10 years to get it. That's also privilege.
Do you think we need more privileges or we have enough?
I think we have enough.
Okay.
I think we're pretty spoiled actually.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, like very spoiled. Like I think our parents had to work. My parents had to work way harder than what I do to get what I want. My parents worked way harder to get the stuff they got. Whereas I think for us, it just comes easier because our parents have worked so hard.
Yeah.
And, as those homes are worth like so much money, they bought them for not much, I get it.
Hmm.
But at the same time, who's gaining? That our generation is kind of gaining in that because of our parents' choices.
Yeah, that because my grandparents they would have to like work like lots of jobs, and so they could just buy property
Yeah.
back then.
Hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So whereas now, look how much the properties are worth. Like it's like my parents' house is getting sold because all the whole block is going. So they actually are gaining too because they were in the right place at the right time, right?
Oh, when they're trying to build the
Yeah,
giant condos and
yeah,
stuff, they buy the whole thing.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
And have you ever traveled somewhere outside of Canada, and ever thought how privileged compared to the other place?
Yes. I mean, I've gone to a lot of good places like Europe and stuff. I would
Hmm.
not say that they're not privileged, but like I've gone to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then when you really look around in Mexico, I mean, when you're sitting in a resort, everything looks really plush and nice. But if you actually go outside that resort, you see what poverty exists, and everybody's begging for everything. Have you
Yeah.
ever been to
I,
Mexico?
I was there.
Oh,
Everyone's begging. They have like
yes,
their kids with them.
yes,
They didn't have anything. They're
yeah,
just trying to make something. They're like making like small pipe cleaners
yeah,
or just selling little packages of stuff just to feed their children.
yes. That's the only country that I've gone to that I've seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone to a lot of European places, but they've all been like well-to-do. There's not that Mexico poorness. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I've never gone to any other place that's very poor. Just Mexico. Yeah. Where you went to Mexico? You said.
I went to Puerto
Vallarta.
Vallarta and Cabo San Lucas.
Okay, I gone to Mazatlan, and that's where I had gone. But once you leave that resort, you see how poor people are.
Yeah.
And
I went on a cruise though.
oh, did you go on a
Yeah,
cruise?
and then we just walked to the local shops and stuff.
Oh, okay, okay.
And everyone's hustling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
One guy asked me to open my wallet because I told him I didn't have any money to buy his chains.
Oh,
He's like, "Open up your wallet. Let me see."
holy moly!
I know. He was a big guy too, so I was like, so I just walked away.
That's good.
That got really scary fast.
Yep. Okay, so
And someone who grew up in a perfect society and would never know what it would be like living without the privileges, and then they would start complaining about their lives. Would you say anything to them? And like, what would you say?
I would say, I'd say sometimes you need to wake up and smell the coffee because if you really look around, it wouldn't be like everybody has their story. Maybe out on the outside, you see that they have this perfect life, but really, when you go inside, everybody has their personal struggles. Like I don't think just because you come from a well-to-do family, you don't have any struggles. Like there's tons of struggles there. Like I mean, I have a friend who really, honestly, she has so much money, she doesn't even know how to do it, what to do with it. But in the end, was she ever really happy? No, because she had a lot of things that she had to struggle with. Plus, then she had a sister that passed away. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's and her mom's sick. So there's all these other struggles. So any, I don't think anybody's life is ever perfect. When you go and really dig in there, you'll see like they have other struggles
that's true.
because money doesn't make happiness either,
Hmm.
right? Money makes comfort, I think,
Yeah,
but it doesn't make you happy. And I don't think people know that. Sometimes they just think like, if I could just get a little more, that I'll be happier. But more just sometimes makes you greedy.
it's like an artificial happiness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my take on it. I like to enjoy life, but at the same time, not. I don't like to be pretentious.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is there a place in the world that you would recommend anyone to go for educational purpose,
For education.
like to see the world, how lucky we are to be here, and then when you go there? Because my grandma wanted to take me to China for the
Mm-hmm.
experience,
Yep.
to go to her her villages where
Mm-hmm.
they're like really poor and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, just so I can get the experience and feeling, so I can be more grateful here.
Oh, I've never really gone anywhere like that. Um, See, I was born in Montreal. I mean, it's got privilege. People go and study in Montreal, right?
Hmm.
And all the countries I've gone in Europe, they're all right up there with their education. So I have never really. I mean, I think you don't even have to go. I guess if you go to a country like Africa or whatever, where education isn't like the priority, is poverty there, and I guess people that don't go to school, then you could see that just to appreciate the fact that you get the opportunity to go to school and get an education. Because there are a lot of places in the world that people don't get an education,
Yeah,
which is kind of sad.
that's true.
I guess you said China, Africa, Mexico. There's a lot of poor countries in the world that kids don't even have clean water.
Hmm.
Sometimes we just have to kind of look at that.
Do you think students should um, go to places as a mandatory class or trip, like to better see the world?
You know, I think that would be definitely a nice way to do it. But I guess with things being so costly and stuff, it doesn't really happen that much anymore. Like
Hmm.
in the school, we used to have a Japan trip. Like
Oh,
we used to
really?
have an exchange thing with Japan. So kids from here would go to Japan, and then um, kids from over there would come and do the experience here in Vancouver. We used to do that here at the school.
How long was that ago?
So Mr. Raghaveen and somebody else that he left the school, and that's when the program stopped. He left and went to another school. It's been a while.
Wow, sounds cool.
That was
How
really
long
nice.
would it be? Like, is it like a full
Yeah. How long would you to go there?
yeah, like for the exchange, would it be like a week thing, half a year?
No, no, it would be a couple of weeks, or 10 days or something.
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I was looking forward to going on one of those trips, to tell you the truth, because teachers would have to go too, right?
Hmm.
So I was so excited to actually get to go. Till the guy that did it left, and then that program completely fell apart.
Wow.
I think that's a great way to go and experience things. Really,
Do we have a Japanese class here?
we used to.
Is that why?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's cool when kids do that. My nieces and my nephew, they went to, where did they go? Peru. They went somewhere. They went to, as part of their schooling. They have a trip every year. Well, I think when you're in grade 11 or 10, and kids sign up for it.
You
And
went to
go.
Peru? Wow,
Yeah, yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah. Too bad. I think it's important to have one of those things in the
Hmm.
in the school, just so you can go somewhere and see something different.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Uh, Now this is like a different question. Do you
Okay.
believe in climate change? Like, do you believe in the climate change movement, or is it too late and global warming is just natural?
I think we can always contribute to our climate. I think there's a lot everybody can do. Everybody can do their part to stop polluting our world and contributing to this climate change that's happening. Some of it, I think, is just naturally happening, and some of it is us as individuals. We have to do our part.
Yeah,
I do, yeah.
that's true. Cut down on like a lot of plastic.
We do like sometimes I look at what we take out for recycling and stuff. I just my husband, I'm like, you know what? Like this is pretty disgusting. I said to him, like, look how many packages of things we have that we have to throw away. So I think like stores and stuff who are going that, oh, bring your bottles in and we fill them up and stuff. I think that's a really good thing to have.
Because when you get like your produce,
Yes.
there's like plastic bags
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
There's lots. It
a lot
just
of
adds
Ziploc
up.
bags and stuff.
It adds up completely.
It does add up.
Like we bring our own bags, but there's a lot more we could do. Big time.
Hmm.
Like that one, my green bin's always full. It's like, that's not nice.
And next one is, should post secondary be a right?
What do you mean? Like if everybody has the right to go?
Yeah, like instead of paying, it's like public, like secondary school, where you just go and pay like a small grad fee or just a small school
Yeah,
fee.
you know what? I think it should be all right. If you want to go, I don't think because you don't have money, you should be excluded from it. Because there are countries in the world, even in Greece, you can actually go to university for really nothing. And people get very good educations. Like they're highly recommended actually. So I don't think it should be for the only the privileged ones, like people that have money.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be opened up to everybody.
It's just so expensive.
Yeah, because it is expensive. And
Just
actually, there was a story about was it in the states? Somebody who's trying to win votes said he would write off people's student loans. I was just reading the story actually just the other day.
is that Andrew Yang?
Huh?
Andrew Yang.
No, no, no. It was somebody Caucasian. Yeah, I don't know. Somewhere in the states, I'm pretty sure. And he was gonna write off at different stages how much whatever people owed, write it off. So one father was really choked with them because he said he worked several jobs to be able to raise the money to pay for his daughter's education. So his thing to this guy was like, "Are you gonna fund me back my money because I worked and I struggled to pay for my daughter's education?" And here, for people that didn't save at all, they are getting this for free. Is
Mm.
that fair? So if you're gonna put something in, you have to do it right off the bat. So it's an equal playing field for everybody. And also, like if you're going to go to school, you can't just go and party and have a good time and never think you shouldn't have to pay for anything either. But I don't think it should be just for the rich though,
Not sure.
or people that just have money. Like I think education should be for everybody.
I believe that too.
Yeah,
Because just for applying to the universities, you have to pay.
just applying.
Yeah, just to apply, it's like $200 here and there.
Yeah, because like just make they rake it in. Really,
You know.
that's a lot of money when you think how many people are applying.
Yeah,
Like wow.
and one of the classes they said they make a lot of money because if you do like plagiarism, you get kicked out. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like internationals come, they pay like a huge chunk. They pay a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
and then sometimes they didn't think English was like needed. Oh yeah, so a lot of civil engineer ones. So they didn't take English seriously, so they copied and pasted, and then they get kicked out, but they lose their money still.
Really?
That's what one of my English teachers said.
Okay, because then I heard that also now they're actually interviewing people as you go into the university, which I think is really, really important because when was it? Oh, it's been like now, I don't know, maybe 6 years. I had a student teacher that came here, and oh my goodness, I had him. He did business, he did marketing, and he did Mandarin. So he was with the Mandarin teacher that was here right before. I don't know who's here now. And so he came because he had failed his practicum. Like he had failed his first practicum and he came here as a second practicum. So he was repeating it. He was paying as an international student to do this practicum again. Do you know what his number one problem was? It wasn't that he was stupid. My God, he was really smart. Like he taught a marketing class and all my students just sat there and they didn't even understand what the heck he said. You know why they didn't understand? Because he was teaching at like a university level lesson. And I just looked at him and went, do you see how young these kids are? They're not 19 or 20 or 21. I said to him, you have to teach to them. You can't teach up here. But his problem was he didn't know how to speak English.
And
And that's why
he was a teacher though.
he was trying to be a teacher.
Oh.
He was trying to get his degree. And so he failed the first time because his drawback was he couldn't speak very well. Like, he had to write it down and he couldn't go off of that paper because he didn't know the language very well. So then he came here for the second time, and even his advisor from university, she never came to observe him. So in the end, it just was left down to the Mandarin teacher and myself, right? So we had to fail him. Like he even failed the Mandarin part, not just even the business part of it. And then he went to try to sue UBC, and all right, because his advisor never came to watch him. She should have been here all the time because he had already failed, so he was doing it for a second time. Plus, not only that, he was paying double the money of anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But when the university came down to taking his money, they had no problem taking his money. But then following through with everything else, that was a problem. So our thing to them is like, screen them so they can at least speak the language. Because as a teacher, you're not going to become a teacher if you can't speak English, period. And even when I went to university, I remember when we were doing our practicum kind of thing, like There was one guy, he didn't know how to speak English. So guess what? He failed right off the bat. They took his money and he failed right off the bat because he couldn't go into any high school because he couldn't speak it. So even the universities want international students. They like taking their money, but they don't like to follow through with everything that goes
That's true.
along afterwards.
Yep.
And that's so wrong. But now I hear there's an interview process. So I hope that's true because I think people should be interviewed before they go into university to make sure they speak the language. Because
We
even
have,
when
we
I
have
was,
to do online interviews.
is it online?
Yeah, like it's just a robot that asks you a question and you
Yeah,
talk
but
to them.
somebody else could do that for them.
Yeah.
Because like when I went to university, you had to pass your English one. There was a writing test, an English test. I can't remember what it was called. You know how many people used to walk in as fakes and write people's tests? You had to pass this English test. Like you had to write an essay. So many forgeries in there, boy. People sitting in there writing it that weren't even those people.
Wow.
But now you can't do that as easily anymore because my sister said my nieces or my nephew, he was, I don't know who was, they were going to some university. Oh, my nieces got accepted at Arizona State. So they had to write some kind of test. And one of them had to go to the bathroom. Not only did you leave the bathroom, if you had to go to the bathroom, somebody followed you to the bathroom. Then when you came back, you had to actually produce your ID. They looked at just to make sure that it was again you that had left that came back in, and there was no trade off somewhere in the process.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I told you that. My nieces won like 5 years full scholarship, everything included, room, board, food,
Wow.
and they're playing lacrosse actually.
Oh, so he got him from lacrosse.
They're girls, they're twins, and both of them got in.
That's convenient.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because
Or
they'll have each other. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's cool.
Yeah. So that's the other one.
And next one is, what is the best way to learn how to cook?
Practice. Look up recipes online and practice. Like seriously, look at reviews, see what people say, and go for it.
Do you think food would taste better learning from a culinary school or like learning from a family member?
Oh, I think a family member.
The same.
Family members have the best recipes. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you like something, you sit there and you write it down. I have my cookbook with my mom's nice recipes, my mother-in-law's nice recipes. My husband, before his aunt passed away, she had given me some nice recipes. Like I write all the recipes of people that I love, that I like, or enjoy the recipes. I write them in a book and I have them. That's my thing. I gotta do some of my mom's sweets. I'm not a big sweet person, so I don't have a lot of like the traditional Greek desserts. But I have to make sure I get those ones from my mom.
Is the baklava?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Greek?
Yeah, that one I at least know how to make.
Yeah.
I made that over Christmas twice, and I gave it out as gifts and fancy plates and stuff, and everybody was just like raving about it. And then again, the recipe was from my aunt in Montreal.
Mm,
She taught me how to make it. So yeah, it's a good
nice.
one.
And what's the best dish you've served, and how did you learn how to make it?
Best dish?
Yeah. Final question.
Oh, my best dish. I think my best dish is actually like a meal, like a Greek meal, having put all the different stuff that I've learned together and being able to serve it at one sitting, and call it a Greek night. Because remember, I like Greek food, but my
Yeah.
mom makes everything, so I just go to her house and eat it. So for me to actually learn how to do the spinach pies and everything else, the cheese pies and the roasted lamb, and put it together and then serve it to somebody as a meal, that's my biggest accomplishment. I've never served it to a Greek person though, because
Oh,
I don't want to be critiqued by a Greek person. But I have for friends who are not Greek.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.